In the words of my people, brop.
Welcome to the Upshift MX podcast. And now, your host, Zach Perry.
All right, what's up, everybody? Somehow we have made it. It is episode 5 of the Upshift MX podcast. If you can't already tell, we are in JGR MX with our guest. He is one of the creators of Armored Graphix. He's also now the guy who puts these graphics on these badass bikes behind me. Paul Sachak, how you doing, man?
All right, man. What to do? How are you?
I'm glad for you to be here. Yeah, no, this was all Paul's idea. He came to me and was like, "Yeah, we can have Reed's bike in the background, no big deal." And so, super big shout out to you for letting us come in. Everybody at JGR for letting us come do this.
Right on.
Thank you to all the listeners. People have reached out to me and they seem to be liking the content that we're putting out. If you like it, please let me know. If you don't like it, please let me know. I'm open to criticism. It's all a learning process. And so, yeah, whatever you guys are thinking, I'd love to hear it. Check us out on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. If you haven't already checked it out, episode 4 last week was with Jacob Hayes. Pretty awesome review. A lot of new stuff that had never been talked about before. So definitely check it out. As always, you guys can't see him, but behind the computer, make sure everything sounds good. It's my producer, Mark Miller. Huge shout out to him. I'm not paying him. And so he's doing this all just because he's a good guy and couldn't make it happen without him. But yeah, with further ado, Paul, let's get to your story, man. This is
right.
awesome. And so let's take it back. We have a little bit of personal history, not necessarily us personally, but you know my father pretty well. How did you guys get together?
So my first job when I was 17, well, not my first job, but when I was 17, I wanted to work in a dirt bike shop. So there used to be a Suzuki Motorsports of Charlotte, and your dad, Dino, was the parts manager. And
the man, the myth, the legend.
Yep. He kind of took me under his wing, and here we are. Know him and obviously know you now too, but that was way before you.
We were just talking about it before the show, and you were talking about something that I think was before I was even like conceived. And so that's cool that you've known Dad so far back. And I remember when everything was first getting started up, he was like, "Yeah, my boy Grease is making him a graphics company." Yep. So with that, how does this nickname Grease come to be? I've heard the story like once, but I want to get the other side of it.
Yeah, so my very first new bike ever was a 95 CR125, and no one showed me how to maintain it. So one day I remember I went to get on it and go ride, and the rear shock, it just had no bounce at all. It wouldn't do anything. It was just totally locked up. I did not grease anything on the bike, period. So your dad and really everybody at that shop just started calling me Grease. Whatever.
Yeah, for the longest time, I didn't even know your name for a long time.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's just
named
Grease.
that guy Grease. That's gnarly.
Yep.
But cool. Yeah, no, so that's Dad told me that story probably a year or two ago, and I was cracking up. I had never heard it. Didn't.
I've got so many stories with your dad. Like, number one, he turned me on to the band Korn back in the day.
All
right.
right.
And then I remember seeing Crusty Demons of Dirt the very first time ever was with your dad. He was like, "Grease, come back here. You got to see this video we got in, this VHS tape." So we watched it. And then for whatever reason this sticks out, I remember these guys came in to rob the shop. And they came in, they were walking around a little bit, and Dean's up at the parts counter, and I was in the back. I was just like the gopher boy, go get gas or put together bikes. And there's this big commotion, and these dudes, they were just walking around, and we ended up taking 2 helmets, like the cheapest, crappiest helmets you could get, like these Katana helmets or something to match Katana bikes. And they run out, so Dean runs out behind them, and they go get in their car, and they're like throwing it in reverse, backing up, and your dad gets the door handle and literally holds on to it, rips the door around, like back to the front
I've never
quarter
heard this
panel.
story. Okay.
Rip the door around. There's one guy getting in the back. He's not all the way in. Those guys back over that poor guy. Well, he deserved it. Whatever, I don't care. So they back over him, and they go down the road with a door, facing the driver's door, facing the front or whatever. Yeah, I just remember looking at you because your dad's a big dude. Well, you're a big dude too. And I was like, dang, man, that was cool, but it was bad at the same time.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
that's
pretty funny. He's told me before somebody robbed the shop one time, and then the next day somebody said that like everybody had on Thor jerseys, like in downtown Charlotte.
Oh, that was before. Was that before I started working there? Somebody did the same thing at the Corral where Armored.
I think you said they like
second home. They backed a truck. Yeah, they just rent a truck, go wide open, through the wall, load what they can, and roll.
Jeez. So now that bike that you had when Dad saw everything locked up, was that your first bike? Is that how you got?
No,
into the
that
sport?
was my third, man. My first bike, I wanted to ride bulls. I was always into radio type stuff, and I wanted a dirt bike prior to that. My mom, she worked for Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system, and she get free magazines. She brought home a dirt rider. I didn't know what dirt bikes were. No one in my family prior rode dirt bikes.
Okay.
She just gave me this dirt bike magazine. I think I was 14. I was kind of late getting into it.
Right.
And I just remember wow, I want a dirt bike, and they wouldn't buy me one. So then I started messing around with rodeo stuff, and they came to a rodeo in Chester, South Carolina. And I was getting ready to get on the bull, and my dad came back there, and he was like, all right, dude, if you don't get on this thing, I'll buy you a dirt bike. He's like, at least, they don't chase you, which is bull crap. They do chase you, too.
Yeah,
so
it seems like it.
I've had my bike run me over. And that was it. So, of course, he was like, take your time, pick what you want. And some kid at school was selling a 79 XR80, like metal gas tank,
right,
dual rear shocks, and I was like, I'll take it. It was way too small for me. But that, to this day, other than the 07 Yamaha 250F I had, you could park that XR at the bottom of a pond for a month, pull it out, and fire up, man. It was unreal. The motor fell out of it, literally. The frame broke. I jumped it, and I shouldn't have, so. Then I went to a RM85, my race bike, and again, going back to the whole grease thing, I didn't know maintenance or whatever. So when I went to change the oil, I drained it out, and then I filled the oil till I saw oil, at the top. I was like, oh, she's full. And it never ran right, and I didn't know why. So we got rid of it, which it probably would have run right if I knew what I was doing.
Wow, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of people, like Kennedy Wilson, who was on our first episode, he is kind of on a different scheme as me. He didn't have a dad that raced.
Yeah.
And it's
Same
so
here,
because I'm spoiled.
That's all you know.
I can't work on my stuff. It's pretty bad. He makes fun of me now, but it's all because Dad was doing it when I was younger.
Yep.
And you know how Dad is. He likes his stuff.
Yes.
Dino tuned is what he calls
absolutely.
it. Yep. And so it's interesting because I'm always people that literally learn not only the sport and the racing side of it, but learning to work on their stuff and to do it all on their own. That's a whole another level of respect right there.
Yeah.
So were you immediately motocross? Were you wanting to race, or was it just kind of the?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you grow up in a woods family and all you know is trails,
right.
Of course, when you start out, you start riding trails most of the time.
You just ride around.
So I did, but I was wanting to jump everything, So I was strictly motocross for about 16 years, and then I got hurt real bad. I had a business before Armored, and I was self-employed, and my parents lived. At that time, I was single. My parents lived 20 minutes from me. If they weren't there to come help me with my business, dude, I had my own house at that time. I'd have lost everything. So I couldn't quit riding, though. There's guys that just quit and walk away. I don't know how, because to me, I'm happy just riding in a freaking field now. Whatever.
On a bike,
yeah. So, but I ended up doing a GNCC in 08, Steel Creek GNCC.
Okay.
First one ever. Buddy who raced woods is like, I bet you can't finish. And I was like, oh, whatever, a bunch of farmers. We'll go up there and smash them, And it rained all night the night before. So it was the worst one to really have your start at. And I remember TJ Snow, who was another local pro, he and I did it. And that's probably the only time I've ever beat him, just because he DNF'd, But I remember I took 4 15-minute breaks just to catch my breath. But I got hooked on woods, man. And because you can still, you can still get hurt. And I like riding both. I really like the guys like Zach Osborne or Jordan Smith, Sipes, who good all-around riders, man. Because if you can ride woods, it'll help you in cornering on motocross track, and if you can moto good, you can find rhythms through the woods.
Well, just the balance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was awkwardly big on my RM85 at one point.
I can see that.
Growing, it was strange, but all of a sudden these jumps that
He's
I was
only
normally,
12, I promise.
Exactly. But I kind of turned into this man child, and all of a sudden I couldn't do the jumps anymore, and I was getting so mad, and so we decided to do the NCHSA series and do some of those. And our first round was at Devil's Ridge, which is a local motocross track, but they also have the woods loops there as well. And it was my first dead engine start. For those of you that don't know, in motocross, your bike's already running. You've got an in-gear, the clutch is pulled in, you've got the RPMs revving, but in the woods, you're in gear, but the bike's off, and you have to crank it and go. And this was pre-electric start or anything like this. This is old school.
Yep.
And I think the closest I ever got to having a good start was 40 seconds behind everyone else. I don't know what it is, but I might as well have not even been on the bike when
Yeah,
they threw the
because
flag.
every time you practice start, it fires right
it's
up.
great.
But
First
when it's
kick,
go
yeah,
time,
yeah,
nope.
Yeah, I mean, like, there was a point where Dad literally had me take my hand and put it, like, off the throttle, like, on the handlebar, because he was determined I was flooding it. It was my fault somehow or another. But, yeah, even then, like, I'd have one hand literally on the crossbar pad and kick it. I remember the last race, I didn't even, like, stress over it. Like, I sat down, was, like, kicking it.
That's the thing with woods, though, is, man, you've got, on average, 2 hours, you know, to make up time and pace yourself. And I don't know if like you, but I mean, out of all my races, I don't think I've hole shot that many, which is fun to hole shot. It's natural rush or whatever. But at the same time, like, working your way through just feels cool, you know, when you're passing people.
Well, and it's almost like reassuring as the moto goes on. Because it's like, if you're blowing by these people, you're like, okay, like,
I got
coming.
this. Yep. Second moto, man, I got nothing to worry about if I get out front.
Yeah, and it was weird because, like, through those first couple woods races, I was still, like, balls to the wall. Like, as soon as I hit the ground, I was rushing to get back up, and I was spiking my heart rate, and then, like, I just couldn't do it. Like, it got to the end. I think at that Devil's Ridge race, by the end, I was literally in tears, and I remember Dad was, like, walking, probably looking for me because I was just covered in mud, and I just told him, just meet me at the truck with some water.
Yep.
Because my Camelback is, you know, covered in mud. I'm just drinking dirt, basically.
And at that time, you really don't care.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
it's like, whatever. Just give me a pond, I'll go jump in.
I'll jump in it.
That's what I like about woods is, and like, this has probably been discussed several times before. A lot of people talk about it, but it's the truth. Like, with moto, unless you race multiple classes, you're sitting around all day.
Nothing,
You might have 15 laps all day. A few laps of practice, 2 5-lap motos or whatever. And it's like no one really talks to each other.
It's very.
I think
like,
riders do more now than in the past because of social media, but yeah, it's all just to yourself, and you're there all day. Whereas with woods, you pay $36 maybe to go ride a local woods race. You get 2 hours, you don't want them, or you're done.
Yeah,
you're leaving the track by 2, headed to the house, you know. And
well, it's like that. I mean, I remember because you know all I hear about is the glory days of motocross, and how I missed it, and this, that, and the other thing.
That's the truth.
Apparently, that's what everybody tells me. But yeah, we pulled into. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like Brushy Mountain maybe, or one of those stops, and like pickup trucks everywhere. There's no RVs. You're in the middle of nowhere, so they probably couldn't get an RV up there if they wanted to. But everybody's just chilling on the tailgate. You know, you got a couple old men just drink some beers. You know, they're jamming in the woods, cheering everybody on, and it was. People were more willing to help you. Like if you were stuck on something, they'd help you. Whether it was a fan or a a parent of another race or something. Everybody was there to help everybody. And yeah, the whole that's how motocross used to be. That's what it used to be like. And so yeah, apparently, and you hear multiple people say that it's more relaxed and it's much more fun. We both know Dylan Cohen, and he's been getting into the woods side of it. And I got to see him not too long ago, and he was like, "Yeah, man, it's just fun." He was like, "It's not as much pressure. It's not as intense." And yeah, you'd come up to the lines and you'd look at me and Dylan raced each other a lot, and I'd look at Dylan like, I've got to beat this dude. Like, and that was all I was focused on. But you go to the woods, and at least for me, I knew I was starting from dead last, and so I was like, we might as well just go have fun.
I still had that one guy. It's like no matter what, I got to beat that guy. You have to have some type of target, if you're behind to get to that guy.
Absolutely. Yeah,
so.
And it's one of those things where I think we get so obsessed with it, especially like the amateur nationals now. It's like you're no sooner finished with one than you're looking towards the other, and you've got the top guys in your class. And with social media, one of the things you hear about that people didn't have back then was we know about the guys in California. We know about the guys in Colorado, and that they're training here or they're doing this. And back then it was kind of whoever showed up and you just raced.
Yeah, that's it, man. And you're right with the social media stuff. And I know this is maybe jumping way ahead, but what you're talking about made me think about something. Whereas, for example, like Jeremy Albrecht, team manager here, going back to Dean showing me, your dad showing me, Crusty Demons of Dirt 1, and so like there was that line of videos, the Fox Terra Firma videos, and all those that came out. So when they came to the East Coast, you went to your local dirt bike shop and you got a VHS tape, the newest thing, Moto Triple X's, all those. So like growing up here on the East Coast, we watched these guys, what was going on in California. And
it almost seemed like a distant planet.
Yeah, but it really put those guys, like you already see the racers, you kind of look up to them in a way, which is weird now because I'm older than them, but I still look up to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even like Jeremy Albrecht, Buddy Antonez and Budman's here now too. But and then now they're here, and it's like they're friends now, you know. But like those guys, they have no clue. Like on the East Coast, the impact that they had, you know, to the movement here to grow it.
Well, I mean, we don't really, or at least especially where I'm from, we don't have the hills or anything to go ride it and do this free riding thing. I've still never really just gone and free rode. Yeah, like
dude. Page on sand pits, dude.
I was gonna say
that's like the only place around here that's like that.
Which I'm a crappy sand rider, but I'll make it work.
Man.
Yeah,
me too.
But yeah, I feel like because I mean I'm a huge like old moto video fan.
Yeah,
I mean,
same
like,
here.
All of the Great Outdoors, like the original Great Outdoors.
Those are the best ones too, man.
That's the best one. Great Outdoors 2 is my favorite movie on the face of the planet. Like 03 outdoor season, Ricky's on the CR250.
Oh, dude, yeah. I like those when Stewart, that was his rookie year on a 125. Started scrubbing Henry's Hill at Budds Creek. Oh, golly, dude. I can go back and watch that stuff. I can go back and watch old two-stroke videos. Like Scott, my business partner, he's notorious for that too. And I'm, you know, whatever, say I'm old school, but I think two-strokes are funner to watch. I'd rather ride a four-stroke, but two-strokes, like if you go back and watch the racing, it was so much better. And like, because you have to be perfect through corners to make the jump out. If it's supercross or even moto, you know, whereas now they didn't have dartfish where they can overlay to see what's fastest. And then by the night show, it's one line. Everybody knows where to go. Where back then it was just, it was a lot better.
When I'm in all these classes, paying attention, I promise, Mom. But you know, I'm watching like 04, 05. I mean, like 05 Unadilla, I love watching because that's when James jumped on Ricky coming down the hill. And I mean,
knocked out cold.
Yeah, even though those two strokes, they probably weren't going as fast as the 450s are now. It just looks so intense, dude. And there's just so much strategy going on. And like that 03 season where Ricky's on the two-stroke, and then that was the first year Kevin Wyndham was on the 450.
Dude, he just showed up at Glen Helen like long hair, don't care, and just walked on him first moto, man, until he crashed over a little tabletop or something, just out of nowhere.
Or something. Yeah,
but, Ricky was like, what the heck?
Yeah, and I mean, he even said he was like, that moto was his.
Yeah.
Like I swear, I probably had that movie like memorized. It's kind of strange how much I watch that. But it's like, I don't listen to music when I work out. I listen to like motocross movies. Yeah. Revelation 199.
Yep, that's it. Get the soundtracks, you're good to go, man.
Exactly. So when you were coming up racing, kind of getting back to the graphics thing, was there always, I mean, like we were talking earlier about custom painted helmets. Was there always a design element that you were interested in, just the look?
Dude, my very first custom graphics, if you will, was on that 95 CR125, and dude, I was such a cornball, man. I bought, back then you didn't have, there was no die cut like ready to go background. You bought a square of material and you know put it on and cut it out. And I had this carbon fiber printed material, so I put it on there and I was like, that looks cool. And then you had the old in style, just numbers behind the counter, you know, you put on there. So I put on number 4, and because that was Bradshaw's number, that was my guy. So I put number 4 on there, and I was like, that's not good enough. So I carved these like flames into the thing.
Had to get like details.
Yeah, looked like LBZ stuff. But I had like these flames carved into the carbon going back. Then I was like, oh, I'm gonna spray paint my rear fender silver for whatever reason. Wow. So that's kind of where it started. I was like, ooh, I like kind of modifying this thing. And then through school, like what you're talking about, we didn't have cell phones or anything to look at like that. But I would like the teacher would be wah, 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 talking and taking notes, and in the margins of my notebook, you know, I'm drawing like the Fox symbol. Fox has been around forever. Fox, or just little dirt bike jumps or whatever I could draw. But then I started drawing helmets, like just the outline of a helmet, and like kind of, if I could paint it, this is what I want it to look like. And it's the same with Scott Beard, one of my business partners. He's the same way. He's a way better artist, but he would, I mean, we do still have a lot of those drawings. I thought about, man, I should have brought that. When you were saying, hey,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's in the top drawer of my dresser, all my old artwork stuff. But like Troy Lee, he always influenced me from that era. So a lot of the stuff I drew back then kind of looked like what he was doing, you know, like the cartoon type skulls and the speed stars and things like that.
Not too long. Dad's got all these old photo albums of you know back in the day and stuff like that. And he had, I don't know whether it was like a report or something, but he had drawn a bike and stuff like that. I'll give Dad credit. There was some skill in those drawings.
Yeah.
But like for me, my mom's an artist. Like has an art degree. Like I should have the touch
not there.
I don't. Let me just.
Dude, yeah,
I'm gonna let
like that
Armored
with my
Graphix
parents,
make
too.
all my stuff because I don't need to be doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so was it? What was the first thing that you? So the bike was the first thing you customized.
Yeah, if you want to call it that. So yeah, did that, and then from there on, like every new bike I got, One Industries, like that was it, man. Like One Industries, I started buying One Industries stuff in '97 when I got a '97 RM250.
Okay.
And so it was the one with like purple shrouds that had the
Right.
upside down forks
Yeah.
or whatever. And like One Industries had the coolest looking stuff, and it used to be cool because they'd match the seat cover with it. So I never designed anything.
Right.
I love One Industries, their look. Yeah, and that was it, man. Really, how Armored really came to be was I had a Pepperidge Farm cookie friend, like Goldfish crackers and Milano
Okay, yeah,
cookies.
yeah.
I did that for 11 years. Mecklenburg County, where Charlotte is, and right around here where the race shop is. If you split that county down the middle, I delivered cookies and Goldfish to all these stores, and like the
You must
equity.
have missed my house because I still don't.
Yeah,
have any, so.
yeah, I did.
Dad
A little
must
too
got all
far
those
north.
for me. Yeah.
But the equity in that maxed, and at that point in time, I was like, man, let's just, on a whim, I was at one of our original partners. His name was Gordon Stigall.
Okay.
He was a true graphic artist. In the mid '90s, he designed stuff for Dale Earnhardt Sr.,
Oh, wow,
Jeff
okay.
Gordon, Travis Pastrana. If you look at old Jeremy McGrath stuff from like '98, he has a AST logo. It was Action Sports Team or something. Jeff
Okay.
Glass, old rider, they came up with some, they wanted to get stuff into Walmart. You know, you could go buy dirt bike stuff
Right.
at Walmart, and it never materialized. But Gordon did that type of design, and at that point in time, he and his brother co-owned a restaurant called Jake's Good Eats in Charlotte, and I was up there eating lunch. Just on a whim, I was like, dude, you want to design dirt bike graphics? You know, mess with that? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, well, I'm thinking about, let's just start a dirt bike graphic company. So I was like, okay. And that was in January of 2011, and sitting there at the little bar thing. And I said, dude, I'll make it happen. Like, I'll sell this thing, and let's just go. Like,
Set
I
the
didn't
word
think
and
it'd be
ready.
that hard. It
Right.
is stupid hard, you know. It's a very saturated market in our industry. Graphic companies and suspension companies are everywhere now, you know. So, but at the time, I didn't know any better. So
Right.
we did that, and then Scott Beard, my other business partner, which your dad knows him.
Shout out Scott.
Yep.
He
That's how I
designed
got
all
to
of my
know
graphics,
Scott
yeah,
too. Was
yeah.
the shop that I worked at with your dad? They sponsored Scott, you know. And when
Okay.
I was first getting into riding, I didn't know any better. I just saw this sponsored guy on the wall. I was like, wow, it might as well be Jimmy McGrath to
Right,
me. I was
yeah.
like, that's Scott Beard. He's awesome, you know. So, and here we are. But and I got a good story about that too. So as far as like he and I getting in trouble, but so like at that point in time, it's like, okay, let's do a date before we're married. Let's not form a company yet. I'll just be a sole proprietor. And Gordon, you design stuff. I didn't know how to put a dot on the screen. Like, I'm not a computer guy
Right.
at all, man. I'd rather be out in the woods cutting trails
Absolutely.
or whatever,
yeah,
you know.
doing something.
And but Scott had some background, and I just thought if we're going to do this, we need a third person. That way, there's a tiebreaker,
Right.
Just in case anything ever we
Came to
come
a
to a
head or something like
disagreement.
that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that for a year. We found a local. Scott did research on what kind of printer we needed and a laminator, and so I went sign shop to sign shop, just saying, hey, do y'all have this kind of printer? And like those guys, they don't want to tell you what they have,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one guy finally was like, come back here and see if this is what you're talking about. So we did. I was like, yeah, because motocross material, not every cutter will cut it because it's super thick.
Right.
So I said, man, if we give you material, will you print our graphics for us? And so he's like, yeah, whatever, you know. So he charged us to print
Right.
our own graphics,
Yeah.
which is fine, even though we gave him material too. And so we started out, yeah, like you mentioned earlier about Woods, the North Carolina Hare Scramble Association. I don't know why we started there, but we were going to races or something,
Right.
and, you know, like, hey, man, we can print dirt bike
we
graphics
can
now.
do
Our
this.
company's Armored, which Armored comes from the armor of God. We're
Okay,
a
I was
Christian-based
gonna
company.
ask.
We keep that. We don't, like, shout from the rooftops or anything,
Right.
but we're just, I believe in the good morals and values that come with Christianity, so we keep that down low.
Cool.
But so we decided on the name Armored, and then I think, well, then from there, after a year, we decided to become a corporation, so we
Right.
became an S corp, but we started in a little farmhouse, man. When we finally pulled the trigger on our first printer, I was rented where I just moved from. My neighbor had an abandoned farmhouse, and we rented a bedroom in this abandoned farmhouse for $300 a month, and I had this delivery truck come and put a $30,000 printer in there and a $4,500 laminator, you know. And my neighbor's like, "What are you doing, man?" But that's where we started, yeah, in this little bedroom. And then we moved into a motorcycle dealership called The Corral in Monroe, North Carolina. We were there from 2012 until shoot, I don't even know when. Probably 4 years ago, we moved to the building we're in now.
So when things started to pick up, or when you guys, I guess, like started going to the races and were like, "Hey, we can do this," was there an interest right off the bat, or did you have to kind of convince people almost?
See, that's the thing, man. Like, we've never, I don't know if it's convinced or if people just got tired of the same old thing. Because, like, PG Graphics, if it's the Woods, PG Graphics, Bart Hayes, they owned the Woods, like, owned it.
It seemed like there for a while, like Decal Works in the moto world, especially around here.
Yeah, Decal Works is the biggest in the whole world, period. And if you look, like, just until recently with Factory KTM, they never sponsored big teams because they weren't throwing that money out there. They just assumed hang on to that money and put it towards advertising in Racer X, you know, and this big thing with a monkey holding plastic or whatever they have in their ad, you know. But
so was the plan, because did Scott do any woods racing? Was he ever doing any?
No, he's done a couple, and I think he wadded up pretty good at one of them. He was like, "No, I'm done." So he's a moto guy.
Yeah, but yeah, because I mean, you know, like obviously, I feel like racers, they take a lot of pride in how their bike looks and stuff like that. And I mean, if somebody just walks up and goes, "Hey, yeah, like we can do bike graphics," like
they're like, that's how it was. Okay, that's how it was at the beginning. I think there was a guy named Greg Reynolds. He was like a local A guy, and for whatever reason, he was the first guy to call and approach us. And he had, I guess people liked him at the Wood Series, so they're like, okay, we'll give him a shot. And we didn't have a clue what we were doing. And so, yeah, that was our first one. We had no pre-done designs. Everything was full custom, you know, because at that point, that was our thing. We're like, we're not going to have pre-done stuff. Everything's going to be custom. Yeah. Dude, that's a nightmare. You don't want to do that.
I can only imagine that.
Yeah. So we did that, and then I remember seeing Damon Bradshaw, who was, I was saying that was my guy that I really liked. That was my favorite rider. And he lives he's from North Carolina, but he was living in Idaho. And I saw a Racer X where he was back riding again, and some local dealership and KTM dealer in Idaho gave him a bike. So my bike at that time, I had a KTM 350 that first year, 2011. Okay, yeah, cool. And there's one helmet that Bradshaw's got, going back to the custom painted helmets, nothing beats that. But Bradshaw had this one helmet, man, that Troy Lee did that was purple, some red, some cyan, pink and orange, all those neon type colors.
Flashy.
Yeah, so I made my bike look like that, which I thought was the coolest thing. I still like it, you know. I can look back now, I'm like, oh man, I don't know, but I thought it was cool.
In the moment.
Yeah, so I sent this picture to this dealer in Idaho, and I said, look, man, this sounds random. I said, but we're a young graphic company. If Damon ever comes in there, can you show him this? And if no one's giving him graphics, tell him we'd like to give him graphics, absolutely. You know? It wasn't a week later. I was at home, and my phone rang. It was an Idaho number. I didn't think anything of it, and I answered it, and it was Damon Bradshaw. And, dude, I dropped my teeth. Like, I was I didn't know what to do, you know? So
that's awesome.
But we talked for like 45 minutes, and he was like, yeah, man, you know, let's try some graphics, you know? So I sent him some stuff, and man, it's been awesome ever since.
Yeah, because you guys had a pretty good relationship since then. Yeah, yep. That's because I mean, like, Damon was before my time, but like, I get told once again, the glory days of motocross, the beast from the east was where it was at. Yeah,
dude. Yeah, and like, dude, just the gear back then and everything else, but. We did a Bradshaw Brothers video. Like, if you go to armoredgraphics.com, it's still there. We don't update our website worth anything. I'll just be honest with you. But there's a video from a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, if you scroll for a while on Instagram, you can find it.
It's on there.
I was looking earlier, and it's
Armored,
Damon and then Zach, right?
Yep, that's it. Bradshaw Brothers. Yeah, cool. His brother Zach. So armoredgraphics.com, bottom of the page, it's there. But we went to his house, his farm here in North Carolina, and man, dude, in his garage, he's got like these plastic bins of like the old Axo gear from the early 90s, 93, 94, the good stuff.
Right.
Just stacks of gear. Some of it's not even worn, you know. It's awesome. And I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's just cool.
Awesome.
He's got all cool stuff.
So going from there, like Bradshaw, you had told me was kind of the first big name that you guys had. Who were some of the first guys that started repping your stuff? I mean, I know you're close with TJ Snow.
Yep. TJ was the first guy ever. Like, when we first did our first set of graphics, we didn't have the moto material yet. We didn't have that down yet.
Okay.
So we just got a local sign shop in Charlotte. We literally layered vinyl on top of vinyl on top of vinyl on top of vinyl to get it thick, We didn't have a clue what we were doing. He had a 09 KX 250F. And so that TJ Snow was our first guy.
On it, like the design almost.
No, we called it the Snow Kit. We had that kit on our website forever. Obviously for TJ Snow, and so he was our first guy ever. So
cool, yeah. Because I mean, I know TJ. I know you guys have done stuff with like Trevor Barrett.
Yep.
And then who would you say were probably like the top 5 big guys that got you guys going around here locally? I mean,
and see, that's the thing. I don't know because we've never advertised.
Right, I was about to say. I almost hear more about you at the track than I ever really did like from anywhere else.
Yeah, that was it. The only little bit of advertising was when Verb Moto was going on. I do photography, so I'd go do these galleries and say they're by Armored Graphix, to put on Verb. But other than that, it was just word of mouth. And as far as people to get us going, I can't really name anyone. I mean, it could be someone that's an A rider to a C rider. Actually, you know what? Steven Nimberg. There's a kid named Steven Nimberg.
Yeah, I've raced Steven
Stacker 97 or whatever. He still has a huge following. And I remember he sent Scott a message saying, "Hey, I'm Steven Nimberg. I do videos. Can we swap out some graphics for a video or a shout out?" And I was like, man, whatever. I don't watch YouTube.
Right.
I was like, I don't even know who this guy is. So I was like, nah, I'm probably not going to do it. And then I've got a good friend named Chris Flo that this guy's like a man's man. I can't see Chris turning on a computer, right? He's just this tough guy. And I was mentioning to him about it, and he was like, "Oh, I know who you're talking about. I watch all his videos." I was like, "What? You know who this guy is?" And he's like, "Yeah." So we gave Steven a set of graphics, and dude, we had people from Australia, the UK,
because he's got
all over the world, ordering
his
stuff from us because of this. And Steven was just a average C class guy. I think he was D class at that time. He was
battling with me several times.
He was just a genuinely good dude. And at that point in time, we were giving some stuff to A-class riders, which there are guys that do what they're supposed to do because it's a business transaction.
Absolutely.
We're going to give you this, but you need
we need something on the back end. Absolutely.
Yeah, actually push some people our way, please. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. They just get it and they go on, And I figured out then, I was like, man, it's not about the guy at the front. I've never bought anything because of this guy in the A class. That's because I like the person that's promoting it. And at that point in time, I was like, man, we need people who are not just good on the bike, but off the bike.
Steven, he's got a very good personality as far as talking things up and stuff like that.
So Steven is the one that really kept us going.
Cool.
That's it. And then as far as here, getting to where we're at right here in front of Chad Reed and Justin Hill's bike, that started several years ago. I remember my buddy Shane Gould with Fuel Clothing.
Okay.
We were in Atlanta. This was Factory Effects was doing all the graphics. It was InStyle, and then InStyle had some issues, and then Factory Effects came on to kind of help them out with the race team when they were on Yamahas, when JGR was on Yamahas. I remember going to a race, and Shane introduced me to Jeremy Albrecht in the pits, and I was stumbling,
absolutely.
I was like, yeah, we do. I'm a graphic guy. We do graphics, Armored Graphix. I said, what's it take to get your name on the side of a truck? He's like, a lot of money and a lot of free graphics.
Absolutely.
And I was like, okay. And I said, man, how much longer does Factory Effects? What's their contract? He said 3 more years, And of course, I'm trying to show him graphics, and there's no signal.
Right.
I think Instagram, I had Instagram or something, and
probably in the basic
trying to show
days
and I couldn't show him anything.
Right.
I was like, God,
it never works when you need it to.
Exactly.
As soon as you walked away, it popped right up. I'm sure.
Yeah. So, and then we ended up coming here. There was a rider named Dennis Kaiser. He's another local guy. He worked here for a while, and Scott and I came up here just to bring him some graphics. He repped our graphics, Armored brand. And the whole team was gone. The race team was gone. They were in San Diego that weekend. We came on a Friday. It was only Dennis back here in the back. And they had I guess it's okay to talk about now. They had a Miami Hurricanes, like the college.
Yeah.
It's a KX 250F. The frame was orange. The graphics were orange, green, and white, like the school colors.
Wow.
Big Hurricanes, like the U on the shroud. And we started looking at it closer, and like it had banding. What we call banding is if you ever get something printed and you see lines through the print, that means the print head where the ink's coming out of these little nozzles is clogged. One of them's clogged and it's not getting an even spray, so you get these lines.
Right.
So there's banding. There's 3 different color oranges, 2 different color greens. Like it's not right, you know. And so we're asking what's up, and it was for Devin Hester, who was Atlanta Falcons. He's got the record, the NFL record for runbacks from kickoffs, I guess.
Oh wow, okay.
So at the Atlanta Supercross that year, JGR was going to present this bike to Devin. Came from University of Miami, and we're like, dude, it's just not right. And then the shroud wasn't right. It was a 450 shrouds, and it was supposed to be on 250, and the holes are different.
Right.
So Scott and I are just looking at it and like, man. So I told Scott, I said, when he left, I said, dude, we need to redo that bike. We need to put the graphic company who was doing it at the time, I said, we need to put their logo back on. Nothing with Armored. Let's just make it look like whatever.
Do it right at least.
And Scott was like, dude, I don't know if we should do that. And I said, no, we need to do it. We need to do it. It needs to be right, dude. You got Joe Gibbs Racing, top caliber. You got Devin Hester, top caliber, football player. They're going to make this presentation.
Yeah, 2 top people
good,
like that.
Man.
You want to have a good product to give.
Yeah, so we had Dennis send us 4 pictures, one of each side, front and back, rear fender. And that night, Scott redid it from scratch. Dennis gave me Jeremy's number. I called him. Of course, he didn't answer. Left a message, said, hey, Armored Graphics, local graphic company. We're in there. We saw this bike. Ended up, we redid it. Can I bring it to you? It needs to be right. And so he called me back, and he's like, yeah, bring it tomorrow morning. We'll see what you got.
Yeah, check it out.
So when I came in, I remember Coy Gibbs, J-Bone, like they had this big team meeting going on, and like I walk around the corner and like everybody stops and looks, and I was like, oh God, what am I doing? Yeah. So I walked up, and then they're like, okay, let's look at them right now. So everybody here, was looking at them. I had to pull them out, and they liked them, so they're like, go ahead and put them on. So we put them on the bike. That got the ball rolling. Yeah, they called us. They need, like, Wiener Schnitzel it's the number 1 hot dog fast food chain in the world, but they're all West Coast, and so they were a team sponsor, and so over here they didn't have anything, so they would ship all the hot dog stuff, but they didn't have like a hot dog cart.
Right.
So Spencer, who's like one of the main engineers here, he fabbed up this hot dog cart in 24 hours. So we decaled it. So we were doing little stuff like that.
Slowly working your way in there. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, and then when it came open, the deal opened up to come in. Here we are,
So when it comes to, obviously, like when I hit you up and I need graphics of some kind, I'm talking about one kid at a time here. Mm-hmm. But especially like on a team where these guys are going through graphics every weekend and stuff like that. And we'll talk about the cool thing that you guys are doing this year, especially. But even when you first got on, was there a kind of a rude awakening with the quantity of graphics that were needed, or did you know?
Well, see, what's cool about this is, like, before, all the other graphic companies are in California. So this is an East Coast team.
Right.
So you'd have to plan way in advance,
ahead,
and they were all screen printed, which is, you can't change it. It's just like, boom, stamping out, same thing over and over. Whereas with digital printing, like what we do, we can change something on the fly. And we're close. Like, we're 40 minutes from here is where Armored is. So it's like, if a sponsor changes overnight or anything like that, we could do that. We could deliver.
Make something happen.
And we were doing a little bit of that before too. When the other graphic sponsor couldn't get something turned around, they'd call and we would copy it. It'd look like the other graphics, just to do a quick set of number plates or something like that. Yep. So that's it. But I tell you the big difference. So the quantity thing, it's hours and hours. Like literally the very first year, which was actually 3 years ago. The last 2 years, the Armored A's been on the bike. The year before that, it said just JGR, because what they were thinking about doing was starting their own graphic company. JGR Graphics.
I know they do all their shirts and stuff in-house.
They do them here. They do them upstairs. So sorry.
Yeah, I got to come back. I work for Red Bull as a part-time job, and I've got to come check out the shop before, and they have like this huge thing upstairs. And what's the guy's name who does all the T-shirts?
Johnny.
Okay.
Yep.
And he showed me. He was like, "Yeah, you take this blank T-shirt," and then he did something, pulled a couple levers, and pressed a button, and then boom, there was a factory JGR shirt right there. And it was cool. I've got some of them now, and that's something unique that you guys do, or that JGR does as well. And so I think the
they like to be
aspect,
self-sufficient.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
So
and then so So it's been 3 years. Is 2019 the first year you guys were doing different graphics every time?
Yep. Yeah.
So with that, if you guys haven't go on Armored Graphix Instagram page, and you guys do like a preview every week before the race.
Yep.
But what is it that you change every week? I know the bike graphics are different, and then something with the gear as well, correct?
Well, the gear is Answer gear. So
Right,
the
I knew it was
250
Answer.
the 250 guys only are sponsored by Answer.
Right.
And so what we do is try to match the bike to the gear each week. That's really all it is. But like, if you think about it, whenever prior to this year where we're changing up every week, whenever teams come out with some kind of special looking bike, like,
Absolutely.
I love that, man. Fans
Military
love it.
Appreciation
Yes.
Weekend is like
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah,
ever.
that's it, man. So, and that's what, to me, that's what sponsors want. They want people, when you're at that pit party, they
It's
want
unique.
They want
Yeah,
pictures of the
absolutely.
new bikes or whatever. It promotes everything. So actually, J-Bone's the one that came up with the idea
Cool.
this year. We had talked about it when we first put in a proposal to become the official graphic company of JGR 3 years ago. That was in our thing. It was like, hey, let's change up the bike. You know, maybe not every race, but every 2 races,
every
let's
couple
have
races or
something
so.
cool. Yeah, and that's what kind of stuff Coy likes. Coy loves that stuff.
Really? Okay.
So it was like, yeah, let's do that. Of course, it didn't really happen. And then at that point in time, with Yamahas and with Suzuki at that time, like, they're pretty strict on what they want.
Yeah.
Their brand, their marketing has got to be whatever.
A certain way.
Yeah. So, and it's the hard part is with sponsors at this level, like at the amateur level, you can have a cool looking graphic. You put up a pre-done design. You know, hey, we change colors. We'll add your logos, names, whatever
Right.
else. Just goes on what you already have. At this level, Suzuki pays to be here, VP pays to be here, you know, Interstate Batteries here. They're all paid for spaces. Well, you know, at that time, Monster was on the bike, which, sorry to say that.
No, you're good. You're good. I understand.
But, like, you know, every company has their own brand rules of, like, hey, we can't be near this other logo. We have to be on a solid background. We can't, you know, cross over colors. We have to.
Multicolors or something
Yeah,
like that.
so at this level, and with Joe Gibbs Racing, it's like NASCAR, dude. They
Yeah.
have a ton of sponsors. Where if you look at factory Honda, it's really clean look,
Yep.
really clean looking bikes. Then we have a few sponsors. With this, they've got a ton, and so you lay out all the sponsors first, and then you have to design around
design
that.
around it.
Well, as a graphic artist, you're very limited as to what you can do with what's left, you know. So, and then once you have the design, it has to go to each sponsor, and they have to sign off on it.
Oh, so they have to approve it beforehand.
That's it. Everybody. And if one of them's like, nah, not happening, man.
So are you still having to do
Redo
that this year as far as?
Nope. This year is awesome, dude. Like, the sponsors for the race team, they're all super cool. Suzuki has been amazing. They just kind of let us do what we want, you know. And I mean, Jeremy still sends everything to Chris
Right.
Wheeler
Yeah.
and all that, but at the end of the day, they're just happy to have something. They're excited about it too. Changing
Well,
it
and I
up
mean, like
each
you were
week.
talking about that people get excited to see it and they take pictures. I remember I knew you guys were doing it, but the one that stuck out to me was, and it wasn't even super flashy, but Chad Reed's birthday.
Yeah.
You guys did like a cool little design.
Had,
We've got some pictures up that we'll throw up.
not
Yeah, you've got
graffiti, but
graffiti
confetti coming down.
not
Yeah.
graffiti. Yeah. On the shroud, and you had like "Happy Birthday" on the back fender.
Yeah, and his wife and kids, Ellie and the boys, like, they wrote out. Renee Zapata here, he had them write out. Was it Renee? Anyways, wrote out little messages.
Yeah,
you know,
something.
Ellie wrote something, the kids wrote something, so I put it on around the gas tank. You know, to where he can sit there and look at it on the line.
That's
and, you know,
awesome.
it's pretty cool. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember I saw that obviously on y'all's page. I saw it. Was it Chad that posted it? I know a bunch
Yeah.
of people. Racer
Yep.
X had posted about it. I mean, because it was. I mean, like, we usually, if it's somebody's birthday, you get a cool picture of them throwing a whip, and it's like,
Yep.
we'd like to say happy birthday. But that was cool because that's, like you said, it makes it unique. It makes
It's
it special.
different, you know. And what's cool about that, you know, talking about Chad, I've really met him truly one time, and it was here. I also co-own Armored Graphix, but I also work for Joe Gibbs Racing, making carbon fiber on the NASCAR side,
okay.
which is next door. And so on lunch break, I came up here I come up and mess around with armored stuff on lunch. So I came up, nobody was here, everybody's out at a test track, and Chad Reed's out in the parking lot. So I was like, dang, there's Chad Reed, you know. So he was on the phone, so I just walked by. I was like, hey, what's up, you know. Came in, sat down, and started working on stuff. And I was actually working on his stuff when he was going to Australia during the off season this year. And my question was, like, you know, here you have to have the Monster Energy Supercross cross top of the front
Right, top of
plate.
the
You have
front
to have
plate.
a certain header. And so I was like, man, what do you do for Sydney, Australia, you know? So Chad came in, and I said, and he didn't know who the heck I was.
Right.
And I was like, hey, man, come here, man, something about
Question for
graphics,
real
you know?
quick, yeah.
But I told him who I was, and I said, man, I need to know. I do your graphics. I need to know what goes on top of the front plate. I said, let me ask you this. I said, do you even care about your graphics? Do you just say, give me a bike to go ride, or do you care about little stuff?
Take something into it, yeah.
I said, because I think I would like that, you know? And he was like, no, that'd be awesome. And I said, you want to sit down and design them right now? He's like, yeah, let's do it. So for 45 minutes during my lunch break,
That's awesome.
me and Chad are sitting there designing his graphics, you know? And really we talked about, we both have 3 kids, you know, we talked about really everything but dirt bikes, you know, just a regular old dude. He let his guard down, you know, for a little bit. And we just sat and had a good time, and he was pumped on his kit. He designed it, you know, it was really cool, man.
Well,
So,
I mean, that's got to be a cool experience for them too, because I mean, yes, you know, we think of pro riders and factory riders as spoiled and stuff like that, but in a lot of ways they lose not the personality, but you know, the personal aspect of it. I mean, like, you know, our graphics, you know how, you know, we like it a certain way, and we like to wear different colors or something like that, whereas, you know, like what you were saying with sponsors and the teams and stuff like that, maybe they only want you to wear green gear with your green bike or something like
That's
that.
it, yeah.
But yeah, to be able to have a little bit of input, and then for the 250 guys, just to have something different, just to be looking at something different.
That's
I feel
it,
like
man.
it's
Something
just got to be
different.
refreshing.
They have to have a yellow front fender, but that's the only thing that they require to have, yellow front fender, period. Other than that, the rest of the bike can be whatever we want it to be. So, like, and really, too, like, when they're riding that bike, they always see that constant yellow front fender, so they're familiar. You know, from here back, they don't see it. Because at that level, man, everything's got to click,
yeah,
dude.
exactly.
If something's a little off, it's a big difference.
Huh, that's interesting.
So-
And it's funny you talk about Chad Reed, because, I mean, you know, you were talking about how, like, Bradshaw's your guy, and all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
what is it like? Because, I mean, obviously Ricky's a Suzuki guy, too. Your graphics are now on, like, the GOAT's bike.
Yeah.
You're on Chad Reed's bike. I mean, you know, Weston Peick, Justin Hill, you know, you've got some of these badasses that are running your stuff now coming from an abandoned barn house. You know, like,
Pretty much.
Like, that's an incredible
Yeah, and
story.
how it happened, I don't even know. But I think part of it is just being genuine. Like, there's a lot of people in all industries. I'm sure you see it, and people out there see it too. There's a lot of just fake people out there. People who befriend you because they want
Yeah,
something,
they want
and then
something from
when you can't give it to them, all of a sudden they're on to the next one. Whereas myself, my partner Scott Beard, my other new partner Nick Jones, like, we've been in business since 2011, never had an argument or anything. We just get along with everybody. We're friendly, we're honest, we don't push anything. Like, I'm other graphic companies, like, I'm friends with them, like, I like their stuff. I'm not that guy, like, it's armored or
Right.
nothing,
Oh,
you know,
right,
or
no,
whatever,
absolutely.
you know. But it's just being genuine and being who you are. And then when that happens, people let their guard down.
Exactly.
You know, these guys like Chad Reed, who are all, you know, they see people all day long, you know. And at the end of the day, you think, like, dude, you ride a dirt bike. You just ride a dirt bike.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really put these guys, look at it like that, that's all it is. Not, you know, saving the world. They just ride dirt bikes. And then when you kind of come at them like that and you're open, like, man, people just, again,
Well,
just
I
let their
feel like
guard
our
down.
sport is really unique because, like somebody like Chad Reed, who I would consider a legend of
Mm-hmm.
motocross. I mean, he's more than just a top guy. He's going to be remembered on after his days of racing. You know, even somebody like him, he is nowhere near as hard to reach as Kobe Bryant or you
Yeah.
know, LeBron James or a football player or somebody like that. You know, we have interactions with the top athletes in our
Yeah.
sport, and in a lot of ways, it's like, you know, you hear people say stupid things to football or basketball players, and it's like, oh, well, you're expected to be above them, this, that, and that. But, like, in motocross, there's still that level of personality. And, I mean,
Yep.
you know, like, you can sit there and actually have conversation with top guys. I mean, you know, somebody like Jacob Hayes, who, you know, he was an arena cross guy when I first really got to know him. But I'll be the first to admit, I thought he was going to be stuck up. I didn't think he was going to be nice. And he just did a 2-hour podcast with us
Regular
last
old
week.
dude, man.
I mean, just a good, nice guy. And, I mean, it seems like anybody where, kind of like what you were saying, once they realize you're not trying to get to them for
Yeah.
something, you don't need something from them, but you're just having a conversation, you really get to see some of the personalities and stuff like that. And you guys do a good job of transferring that onto the bikes. And I think that's something, you know, kind of almost like the woods racing compared to motocross, how it's laid back, it's back in the good old days. It's genuine. I think you guys embody that as a company.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I was telling So Gary Sutherland, he's like a works guy. He won the Hare and Hound Championship 2 years ago and the Works Championship 2 years ago. But we sponsor him too. He's on the factory supported KTM ride now, and he sent me a text a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Man, I can't believe you're not in more magazines, blah blah blah." And I said, "Man, that's cool." I said, "We've been in some magazines." I said, "But really, that's not what it's about. Like, I should care about that, I guess, but I don't. It's really about just making these friendships, having new riding buddies, just because our sport is small.
Exactly.
Like, you go outside of here, walk up the road and say, "Hey, do you know who Chad Reed is?" To the average, they're like, "I don't know who that is," Just all of us know who that is,
It's so funny because, I mean, like one of my friends, Kennedy, he ran into Weston Peick in the middle of Charlotte, and he's like, Weston's just walking around. Nobody's bothering him. Nobody's talking to him. I mean, I remember one of the guys who owned the track back home. Do you know Barry Manus that used to own Zoo City?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we did some stickers for him.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
He ran into Ricky Carmichael in an airport, and Ricky was just sitting by himself. He wasn't saying anything to anybody. Nobody's bothering him, and it's like you're Ricky Carmichael. You're the greatest rider to ever throw a leg over a motorcycle.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably Pastrana is the most celebrity of everyone. James Stewart.
And James
But
Stewart.
yeah, I mean, those two guys, they
and
are.
Jeremy McGrath too. People know him.
He's the king. Yeah, Pastrana's like my hero. Like that's my guy. McGrath, I was like right at the end of his career. Like I remember, did you ever watch the movie Relish? Going back to old motocross movie when he was on the Bud Light KTM. Like that was kind of, and then it was Reed was known as the guy who was mimicking McGrath. He was the new McGrath.
Yeah, he was a McGrath fan.
I was a Speedy Reedy guy for forever. Yeah, and I mean I still am. I think it's cool that he's an older racer now and that he's
37 getting it done.
And he's having fun with it though. Like it seems like he really, because I mean there for a while you could tell he was stressed and he's even said he wasn't happy, and now he's been able to kind of take a step back and do what he wants to do. We were talking earlier. I hope to see him in Vegas. But he's old school. Like he's running with these new guys, but he's old school. He's tough. He's gonna grit it out. Like he's an all around bad dude.
Yep, he is, and that's what he's from that era where it was kind of like the Iron Men too, which goes back to the 90s to the 80s or whatever, where guys would fight. They weren't friends with other guys on the track. Everybody wanted to win. They hated losing more than they liked winning. That Carmichael type attitude, and then now. Again, with the social media, everybody's buddies, which is cool, At that level, it's questionable, though,
I don't know. I like the rivalries. Like, I'll be the first to admit when I know
love it too, man.
So-and-so and so-and-so don't like each other. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's all I want to watch. Let's see what happens when they get together,
and it was like, back in the day, that was Carmichael and Stewart. So it was, like, in the front. Yep. And, I mean, that's what you love, Carmichael, the Stewarts. The Stewarts and Reeds, the Alessis and Villapotos, stuff like that. Like, I feel like people try to steer away from it now, but like that's some of my favorite stuff. I don't necessarily like people getting knocked down or getting hurt or stuff like that, but good racing. Going back, I mean, you're banging into each other, but you're not taking each other out.
Dude, last race. The last race before the break, that heat race where Cooper and Tomac were the heat race. They were side by side for like 2 or 3 laps. Like, I missed that. But that's how it was.
Yeah, nobody was going cheap. Nobody was trying to put it, but it was who's
you can run a
best.
block, whatever, make contact, whatever. Who cares? It's like some people, they have it coming to be taken out, but like, I don't have a problem with it, Like, Robin's racing that old school.
And
I mean, it's cliche, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I'm a huge podcast guy, and I mean, like Mathis and even Daniel Blair on their shows.
Yep.
They were talking about it, and even the riders that come on, they're like, we know, you don't have to tell me what's a dirty pass and what's a clean pass. Like, you can hit me, and I can still not be mad about it, or you can hit me not as hard, but I know what you were going for, and then I'm upset.
And again, you look at the tracks they're racing too. You almost have to do that to pass now.
Exactly.
Everybody's in the same line.
Well, it's like in arena cross, nobody really gets mad about it because it's so tight.
Yeah,
it's
arena cross.
Yeah,
man.
that's the
you
only
better
way you're going to do it. Yeah, exactly.
You almost don't want to be in the lead going to the last corner.
That's like we were talking to Jacob last week, and he's like, "Yeah, it's not a question of if, but when and how bad it's going to happen."
You're getting cleaned out.
So let's get to the important question. We got to work on an Upshift podcast decal going here. We got to get some stickers flowing around.
Yeah, do that, man. Absolutely.
Like I said, I'm not artistic. I've got a copied photo off of Google Images that we've cartoonized, so we're gonna have to make something happen here.
Yeah, for your little Instagram circles.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
You need just a good logo, something that's clean to where if you're going to put it on shirts or hats, embroider, it's just clean and to the point. Less is more. I mean, you go down the road, you look at Target, you look at Walmart, you look at McDonald's. It's really simple.
Yeah, it's not like
a lot of people go crazy with things. It's like, no, you just need something. Right,
well, it's like the A. I mean, like, because I remember there were guys that I was the only motocross racer really in my high school or anything like that. But there were a couple guys that had motorcycles that rode from time to time, and first thing they had on the truck was an Armored A right there. And I mean, you guys had all different colors. You had, I remember, like, the orange and camo was big. And Randolph County, they like camouflage. And so, but I mean,
get back to doing that.
Yeah, I've got one on my truck right now, and I mean, it's clean, but it's also, it's bold. You can see it and you know what it stands for. And so, yeah, we'll get something working out. Be on the lookout for it, folks.
I remember that was cool. The first time that I was riding down the road somewhere, I think going to the mountains on 40, and a guy passed me with an Armored logo, and I didn't know who it was. You know, I'm like, I don't know who that is. And at that point, you kind of know everybody buying your graphics. It's like if you start something, all your buddies help you. They want this or whatever. But then when you start selling to people you don't know, and then when you see that, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool, man. Cool. That person thought enough of something we do to, like, put it on the back of their window of their truck or whatever, you know? So that's a pretty cool feeling. I couldn't imagine being one of these people that you're on a billboard somewhere across the country, and, you know, you go to visit that city, and there you are on a billboard.
Boom, there you are,
like, wow, that'd be weird.
Yeah, it's a... But that's cool. I mean, going back to the smallness of the motorcycle racing community, I mean, obviously you extend to more than just motocross. You do off-road and enduro and stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, like, it's just you've reached a broad environment. Now you're at the top level of the sport. Any idea where Armored's going from here? Just keep going, or any plans?
There's some plans.
Some things in the works?
Yeah, there are. There's a couple of different avenues we can go with. One thing is, like, these guys, JGR, they're going to start selling our apparel, like shirts. Of course, I've had shirts on the website, and of course, when you stock up on shirts, it's
Nobody
like crickets, man. Yeah, and then when you don't have them, everybody wants it. It's like, man, I don't know what to do, you know?
Right.
So, but we're going to start, moving into some apparel. There's some other items that are going to be Armored items. They won't be graphics, but just other products for motorcycles. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have a plan. Really, we just, sounds crazy, but we just wing it, man. We fly by us. Yeah, we're terrible businessmen.
It was so cool because, like I called Paul before the show yesterday, and we were kind of talking about, do you need anything from me? Do I need anything from you?
Yeah.
And you were like, man, let's just wing it. Like, let's just go for it and see what happens. And I think it's been a good show. I hope everybody else has enjoyed listening to it. But, yeah, I mean, like, you're not nervous. We're just talking. I mean, I think that's where you get the best stuff at. And so, yeah, thank you for being like you are, man, laid back and beyond just the show. Thank you for helping me and Dad and everything out in my former racing career, whatever you want to call it. But, I just thank you for being a genuine sponsor that really looks out for every rider, whether it's Chad Reed or Justin Hill or somebody like me. And so
that's it. We're all the same, man. We all ride dirt bikes. You have that in common, you know?
Exactly.
No cool guys here, just out having a good time. So
yeah, guys, if you need graphics, obviously you're doing the bike graphics. Now, you said you're kind of taking a step back from the helmet wrap game.
Yeah, we backed off on helmet wraps just because there was a lack of interest.
Right.
And what you got to understand was with every helmet, each shell size is different. So it's a whole another template for each. It's really tough. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and then a lot of people, I'll just say, they're cheap. They don't want to pay what it's really worth, you know. And it used to be like, oh yeah, what do? You just hit a button on a printer and it does it. Dude, no, it's
everybody loves to tell you how
hours.
Easy it is.
You got a lot of expensive equipment, and you've got hours involved, even in a semi-custom kit. On average, it takes about an hour and a half to lay out everything. Even if the design's there, you're just adding colors, logos, blah, blah, blah. It takes time, you know, so.
Well, yeah, guys, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not my family and you're not buying me graphics, go check out Armored Graphix. Check them out on Instagram. Check out their website. I mean, yeah, we've just heard how good of a guy you are. You really care about the sport and the riders. That's something you want to support. You see how badass their stuff looks. You make me look way faster than I really am just because the bike looks so good. So definitely support the people that support all the riders locally and professionally. Is there anything you want to close with, man?
I wish the best of you moving forward with this. You're 5 episodes in.
Yeah,
you're really good at it. I remember I was at Muddy Creek.
Yes. Was it 13 or 12?
I don't know.
I was thinking about that earlier.
Wasn't Outdoor National yet. I don't know why we were there. Maybe it was after. Yeah, because
I was
TJ
in there with
Snow's first
Vitus,
one.
Yeah, and
I remember you were announcing, and I was like, "What the heck's he doing in there announcing?" You know, like I knew who you were just
Right,
through
from
Dean.
that,
Met
yeah.
you as a kid, and go watch you ride around Devil's Ridge or whatever. But at the same time, I was like, "Wow, that's pretty wild that Zach's up there announcing at a national." You know, and I think it was practice or the
it was
pre-races,
like the
qualifiers.
qualifying race.
That's it. Yeah.
But because I remember that was when you guys had first kind of really started picking things up, and like I said, my boy Grease has got him in art, and so I knew all about you and all about the company, and I know TJ obviously from the local races. And so shout out Rob Bitus. He lets me come
That's
in the
it, yeah.
in the
I thought
box
that was
from
cool,
time to
man.
time,
That and then you're doing the Red Bull stuff,
Yep.
and then I saw where you're announcing that the Red Bull paper wings, or
that
whatever
was
that is.
crazy.
Like,
It was like so I didn't even know that Red Bull did anything, but it's like literally a worldwide paper airplane throwing competition.
yeah,
And
I could do that. I think.
It was impressive. We were just down at Joint Base Charleston, and that was actually it's supposed to be the largest U.S. qualifier that they had, and I think the longest length was just over 70 feet.
Yeah.
And like the world record is over 220 feet.
Dude, just throwing straight from flat, or is there
And, like,
any
there's rules,
elevation?
like you can't run, like your feet have to be planted on the ground, and you're just throwing it. But yeah, it was interesting. Making paper airplanes sound exciting has probably been one of the
That's
more
a good
difficult
challenge.
tasks. Yeah, because it was a lot of like, for every one 70-foot one, there was probably 20 2-foot planes where it's just like, okay, that was a good try.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, but thank you. Like I said, this whole thing is kind of just trying to get my name out there. I mean, getting some names like Jacob and getting people like you that are involved in the pro world and stuff like that, I think is it's on the right track, and awesome content like what we just talked about, I think is what people want to hear.
Just be true to you, man, because how you're starting out is how Armored was. Nothing, and we're still not much of anything. But what I'm getting at is you just stay true to yourself, be you. Don't just be a yes man to whoever. Just do what you want to do, man. And as far as getting content, I'd like to help you
Absolutely.
get some more guests.
Yeah, we'll definitely get stuff working together.
But yeah, you'll be good to go. You got a good crew, good team. So you're
yeah.
set,
Like
man.
I said, Mark's been hooking me up. My boy Kennedy, he's back there too. He wanted to see the Gibbs place, and so he's playing sound guy today. But thank you for everything, and guys, seriously, check out armoredgraphix.com. That's GRAPHIX.
Yeah, the
just
cool
to clarify.
way.
Yeah. But yes, check them out on Instagram, check them out on Facebook. Just check them out. Seriously, they've got badass designs, even if you're not on a Suzuki. And so yeah, Dad just got him a new bike, so we've got something in the works already.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and then like I said, if you guys haven't gotten to check out the previous episodes, Jacob Hayes was last week. I think Cody was before that. Check us out on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube. We are working on iTunes. I've had so many people ask me if we're on iTunes. Alex, I know you're watching. I'm working on it. But we're trying to do the best we can. So, yeah, appreciate it, man, guys. That's been episode 5. We'll be back next time for episode 6.
Yep, right on. God
Sweet.
bless.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.